Hey everybody, right here. Today I want to talk about why I chose carnivore. Why I chose to use the carnivore diet as a basis for my weight loss. And the the reason is, I thought it would work, right? And I think that's probably the main reason that everybody chooses any diet. There's also the reason why I had to choose a diet, right? Why is it that I'm 332 pounds? Why is it that I um, have been this way for quite some time? Right? So that is a little bit more complicated than because I wanted to lose weight, right? And because I thought it would work. Um, I have essentially been overweight my pretty much my entire life. Since about the fifth grade, I have been I was a big kid. I was a husky kid, as we used to be called. Um, and then, as I became an adult, um, I was the chubby guy, right? No big deal. And I was the chubby guy. I was, 220, 225, 230, no big deal, right? And I was that way until probably around 2001. Up until that point, um, I'd hit, maybe 240, 250 at certain times, but then it would trim back off, right? And in 2001, that's when I was, 36 years old. When I was, when I was young, I was heavy. I um, I was ate a lot, right? I was a member of the Clean Plate Club, if anybody knows what that is. Um, I am not happy with the fact that I was a member of the Clean Plate Club because that somewhat turned me into what I am today. Somebody who doesn't like to let any food go to waste, even if it's not my favorite food. I'm probably going to eat it, and that's just not the best way to go. So growing up, I was always athletic though too. Right? I played soccer as a child. I played soccer in high school. Um, Once I got out of high school, I didn't play soccer anymore, but I'd screw around with playing volleyball or riding my bike or you know hiking or something. Right? I was always doing something. So the weight kind of stayed there. Right? It didn't go up. It didn't go down. Um, when I got married, um, back in 1999. I got married, and I was probably around 225, 230 when I got married, right? Big guy, but not crazy. And I started I got married and I worked at a greenhouse, right? And the greenhouse was an extremely physical job. We didn't have a whole lot of money, so I ate a lot of cheap food. Um, I had a lot of food out of vending machines, like pre-made sandwiches. Just throw them in a microwave, warm them up, and eat them. Did a lot of that. We did a lot of fast food because it was cheap, things like that. And it was fine because I worked at a greenhouse and I was extremely physical, extremely on my feet doing work, manual labor all day every day. Not a problem, right, for my weight. But in '99, I also got hurt, right? So I got an injury, a pretty traumatic, bad injury, and that kind of drove me to finally get off my butt and get out of the greenhouse and do my technology training. I always wanted to be in computers, right? Somehow in computers since I was like 5 years old. So when I got hurt, I took the opportunity of being out of work for about 3 months, not able to work for 3 months. And I did a bunch of studying, got a certification, and then that got me a job, right? So I went from having an extremely physical job at the greenhouse to a job that was almost zero physicality, right? I was building servers, right? So, I had moved stuff around, lifted stuff up, and things like that, but it wasn't anywhere near what it was. Spent a lot of time just sitting and standing, like moving hardware pieces and parts from a box to a bench to a computer, right? So, when I was doing that, I did not change my eating habits at all. And therefore, I got big. got really big. Um, that's when I went up around 280, right? 275, probably about 275. And then a few years go by. I'm still in technology, but now all of a sudden I change positions and I get put onto a project where I'm traveling. So now I'm traveling. I'm eating restaurants. I'm eating out 3 times a day for a week or 2 weeks at a time, and still not exercising, still not, you know, doing any physical work for my job, right? And then I kept getting bigger. So now I'm at 290. And I stayed around 290 for quite some time. I was probably 290 until, probably about 2014, about 7 years after I started doing that travel work. And I still do travel work, but it's been different, right? Um, I came up to 300 pounds, and then I was 305, right? I didn't worry about it, right? 'Cause, I'm, about 300, right? That was I'm about 300. Not a big deal. But then in the last probably 2 years, maybe 3 years, it was 315, and then it was 320, and it was, oh my God, I can't believe I'm 320. And then all of a sudden, I'm not 320, I'm at 320s, and I'm the upper 320s all the time. So it's it's difficult to kind of admit that, I did all this to myself. I mean, that's we do things to ourselves. We make excuses as it's happening. Um, we don't want to admit that we need help, or that um, I don't know. Like, it's just we just hide behind excuses. So when I went through all of this, right, I really, like, I really started to get worried, because I would eat food and then all of a sudden I'd hurt. My body would hurt, right? I would eat till I was stuffed. And, I'd be like, oh, well, I ate a salad, right? But yeah, I probably ate 6 servings of a salad, right? And it's 6 servings of the dressing, and it's 6 servings of the croutons and everything else. So it wasn't good. It wasn't healthy. Um, you know, they'd bring pizza into work, and there'd be 6 different kinds of pizzas. Well, I want to eat them all, so I'd grab 6 slices of pizza, and then I would hope there was pizza left over at the end of the day, that I'd grab a couple slices and I'd eat those on the way home. And it's embarrassing, um, to kind of speak it out loud, but that's what I was doing. That's what I was doing to myself. And towards the end of last year, I really started to, like I said, it's just started to feel it. It hurt to eat. It hurt to walk. It hurt to get out of bed. I don't take the stairs at work because my knees hurt, um, and I can't breathe when I get to the top. Right, I work on the second floor or third floor. Um, so when I get to the top of the stairs, I couldn't breathe easily for probably 5 minutes. So I knew that I was in really bad shape, and I wasn't willing to admit it to myself or my wife or anybody else. I just, I'll make excuses and find a way. Oh, I did good this week. I went for a walk at lunch one day. It's not gonna do anything. So I finally had to admit to myself that I had a real problem. Started looking into gastric bypass and the sleeve surgery. Um, my wife was very concerned about me doing something like that. She was very concerned that I would die. Let's be honest. She was afraid I would die. She's kind of been afraid I would die ever since I had that accident in 1999, because it was a bad accident. Um, so she's always kind of been afraid of that, and I'm kind of a daredevil, and I don't always follow the rules, safety rules in particular. So I can understand where she comes from, but the idea of needing to do that just really kind of sparked me. I said, you know what? She doesn't want me to do it. I've got to find something. So I started looking around. I did a juice cleanse. I started grabbing, different kinds of food. Like even when I would eat food at lunch from work, I would look for a healthier option, right? The quote unquote healthier option. But it wasn't working for me, right? So I I finally decided to look into carnivore, and I had heard about it a few years ago. I remember first hearing about like Lion Diet from Jordan Michaela Peterson, and it interested me. So I said, you know what? I love meat. All meals, in my opinion, for my entire life, all meals should revolve around the meat that you are serving, right? What are we going to have for sides tonight? I don't know. What's the meat? Right? That's my brain. So the idea of a diet that's primarily focused about around animal protein, right? I was like, well, I can do that. Maybe I can do that. It was, something that I just felt could be sustainable, and I wasn't 100% sure on it. It still seemed a little crazy to me growing up the way most of us grew up, being told what to eat and how to eat. It didn't seem the most logical thing, but at the end of the day, I needed something that I could sustain myself with. So I told my wife about it. She's like, that sounds like the most unhealthy thing in the world. I'm like, yeah, that's what it sounds like, but I don't think it is. She's she's amazing. She's my rock. She's my everything. Absolutely everything. Um, so she said, you know what, if that's what you want to try, I'll support you. Whatever you want to try, I'll support you. I wanted to do the juice cleanse. She was going to support me. I was going to look at doing all prepackaged meals. Um, My Fit Foods, if you've ever heard of that. They actually have some pretty good food taste wise, but it's closer to standard American diet. So she's like, I'll support it. Like it's expensive. She's like, we'll figure out a way. Like if that's what you need, that's what you do. So I kept looking, and then I dug it back into the lion diet, and it got me to carnivore. So looking at the carnivore diet and looking at what it entailed, looking at the food that you eat, looking at the idea alone of sitting down when you're hungry to eat and eating until you're full, stopping, and the next time you're hungry, eat until you're full. That it it just it makes sense in certain aspects, and in other aspects it didn't make any sense. But I'm like, hey, if I can do this for even a couple weeks and there's some kind of result, eating until I'm full when I'm hungry, hey, it's gonna work. I need to lose weight, right? I don't have high blood pressure. I didn't have diabetes. I didn't have high cholesterol. I'm I've said this for a long time. I'm the healthiest fat man you'll see all day. But I know that there's other issues with me. My sugar wasn't perfect. It was a little high. It was close to pre-diabetic, right? My cholesterol wasn't perfect, but it wasn't high, right? My triglycerides are through the roof, right? So there's certain things that are wrong with me that need to be resolved. And I felt like losing the weight and doing carnivore and seeing all the other things that people have as a result of carnivore, I felt like this was a good choice. So I talked to the wife. Um, she said, "Okay, what do you need? What food do I need to buy you that you can eat and do this diet?" And that's when I started figuring it all out, right? And how I started and all that, I'll get into that sometime. But right now, I mean, it's really all about like why I why I get why I did this and why I needed to do it. And I just wanted to share that, right? And there's so many people out there that are probably in similar stories to me. Um, whether it be that you started out with active jobs and moved to an inactive job, whether it be that you work in a restaurant. I worked in a restaurant for from like age 14 until probably 22, 3, with the little oddball exception here and there where I didn't, but primarily I did. My wife today works for a restaurant company, one of the most amazing restaurant companies in the city of Denver, and food is easily available, right? And lots of it, like good food, like tasty, tasty food. So, um, you know, anybody could be in a similar situation. And if you're watching this and you got to this point in the video, I applaud you for listening to me ramble. But two, give it a try. If I'd have started carnivore 2 years ago, uh, I'd be in a much much better place. If I'd started carnivore 2 years ago, I may not have had a stroke. I was the youngest guy on the stroke ward by 20 years, and they don't have a reason because my heart's great. They've done every test you can do on my heart. My heart is phenomenal, but still had a stroke. So, you know, if you're on the fence, give this a shot. If you're not sure what to do next, you know, watch videos. Watch Dr. Ken Berry. I can't recommend him enough. He's probably one of my favorite people to watch. There's a lot of people out there that are doing carnivore. Um, they've got content out there for you to learn from, and that's what I do. Um, but also, um, follow me, right? I'm I'm a little over halfway through my first 2 months. Right, uh, I'm through 5 weeks. So I'm doing a daily accountability video on YouTube and talking about what it is for me each day. And I feel like it's really good for me, but it's really good for other people as well, right? And I know that from the comments. I know that from the feedback, right? So, I did carnivore because I was morbidly obese. 332.6 pounds was my start weight. My weight as of this morning was 300.2 pounds. And that is after 35 days of carnivore. So it can be done. The weight can come off quick. You're going to want to stick with it and get down to a point where you're comfortable with life again, and probably just stay with it anyways, right? Some people go off and they have mixed results. Some people might switch to more of a keto type diet, but for me, this is something I'm going to stick with for a while, and I'm going to continue out here and make content and share my story and share my journey, my successes and my failures. And you know, I hope you find this video and it helps you. Uh, Leave me a comment, ask me a question, whatever it is. I do read every comment and respond to every comment, even some comments that some people would probably tell me I shouldn't respond to, but that's what it is. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, and don't really have anything else to say, but we'll talk to you tomorrow.